Welcome into week 7 of NFL Tea Time. George Balekji here with Meredith Scoop Gorman. Fresh off covering the Patriots-Bills game. We got to start right there. The surprise of the weekend in an NFL weekend, we saw a lot of parity come through. Patriots getting the win 29-25. No one expected them to beat the Bills, especially after what we've seen the last 3 weeks. Your takeaways, you were there live, you heard the players after the game. What stood out to you about the Patriots pulling off this upset and really playing out of character in a good way?
Oh yeah, you say out of character in a good way. I think everyone was positively surprised by the Patriots offense. The O-line showed up and made Mac's job a lot easier. We saw the running game get going. I think everyone collectively held their breath from a Patriots fan standpoint in the fourth quarter when we wondered, are the Bills actually going to take this one away from the Patriots after they led most of the game? But Patriots managed to get the win, and I think after the game you could tell in the locker room just the vibes. The team needed that win for morale, for the record, for a million reasons. But I think this was a good confidence-building win.
I feel like it got the public perception off their back a lot. Like, look, we're not going to be good this year. They knew they were huge underdogs going into that game. Taking the spread out of it, just how good this Bills team is. It's Josh Allen, it's Stephon Diggs. It's the new champs of the AFC East, right? But they went in and they pulled off the biggest surprise. And it was from the get-go. We saw Bill O'Brien, a lot of pre-snap motions, a lot of getting playmakers the ball in space, making it quick reads for Mac, quick decision, getting the ball out. You saw Pop Douglas come out. And you mentioned on the offensive line, Mike Onwenu moved to right tackle, changed everything. It was Onwenu at right, Sidney So at right guard, David Andrews at center, Cole Strange played great at left guard, and Trent Brown at left tackle. Mac had time. He could make reads. He said after the game he could run the offense. I think it was funny because we saw guys like David Andrews who can be prickly after a loss, but that is someone that wears it. He is good to the media, and he will be candid, which you love to hear. But how exuberant he was, how happy he was at the podium after two stood out to me.
The first thing he said when he got to the podium after the game was, man, we really needed that one. And, he's always the first one out to the podium now after the games. And, it's good to see him in a situation where he has something positive to say because, like you said, he is the first guy on the team to always, take ownership for it. And he's been on teams that have had a lot of success. He's played with Tom Brady. He played through that era. So I think his perspective as a captain on the team is really interesting for the players because, they may have faced some adversity this season, but Andrews does bring that veteran leadership and experience to this team that they don't really have because a lot of those veteran players have left.
Yeah, credit to you see what Bill O'Brien did, but also Gerard Mayo. We saw a defense where usually the pass rush will sit back and contain and don't let Josh Allen scramble. They went after him. They rushed the passer, blanketed Stephon Diggs. They were physical with him. Jabril Pepper said it after. So it was on both sides. They knew what they had to do. Attack with the run game, really expose that Bills defense on the inside. Pass rush, Christian Barmore was phenomenal. And the secondary, there was poor tackling there, but shorthanded still. J.C. Jackson playing, Jack Jones back off the IR, easing their way back in, pulling off a lot of wins. And Mac Jones, 25 for 30 on the day, 272 yards, 2 touchdowns, 7 for 8, 70 yards, game-winning touchdown to Mike Gesicki. So we saw Mac do something, show up in the fourth quarter, show up in clutch time, a 2-minute drive and a drill to lead to the game winner. We saw the Patriots be out of character in the best way possible, pull off a big upset. You see how much it means to them. They were, in a way, to me, it was like the role they're in. They were like how the Bills used to be. They go with the lesser talent, lesser quarterback, but go in and surprise New England. The Pats pulled this off, and they're just 2-5. I still think they're a bad team, but they got a really good win. That was just fun football on Sunday. It
was such a fun game to watch, and you do mention the record, 2-5. Like, this isn't a team that's going to be playing in the Super Bowl this year by any means, but that win was just a morale booster. You've been in that locker room the last couple of weeks. During the week, the players are saying the same thing over and over. They couldn't find that missing piece that was missing from the offense in particular. Like, what's that thing that's going to spark things? And it seems like they did find it this week. Now, the big question is, will they be able to keep that going? They have another division game coming up in Miami this week. Miami's always been a tough place for the Patriots to play. They've never played well against Tua. And you factor in just how well the Dolphins have been playing, minus their loss last night. It's the Dolphins players have even said after the game, they said, whichever team gets us next, I think is in trouble. That's a little, don't quote me on that verbatim, but something like that.
That's a really good Miami front seven, really good receivers, but still, for the Patriots on this win, there's a lot to build off of. I think the confidence boost they get, especially in offense where they needed it so badly. We saw guys like Pop Douglas come up, Mike Gesicki finally get into the end zone, Hunter Henry with big catches here and there, and Ramondre Stevenson playing well in the passing game. 6 catches, 6 targets. Get him involved, get him to touch the ball. On the defensive side, a guy we want to talk to. Someone you spoke with earlier in the week, Jabril Peppers. First play, first pass attempt of the game for the Bills, picks off Josh Allen. Second straight week, we saw him with a big play leading to a turnover. I love this from David Andrews. When asked about Jabril Peppers, he goes, yeah, Pep's a little bit of a psychopath. He screams a lot. He's from Jersey, which is a huge compliment. I don't understand a lot of things he says screaming. All of that's a compliment to me. I just love you see what David Andrews had to say about Jabril Peppers, and he went up to the podium and was like, yeah, I think that's a compliment. I'm a psychopath. Definitely, that's the type of defender he is.
That's a good compliment. I think you got to be a little off to play, football anyway, in a good way. I just try to be, as crazy, energetic as I can. And it's not that I'm a, psychopath. I'm just more willing to run into another grown man at full speed than a lot of guys are. So, I think that's really it.
Oh, absolutely. It's funny, when David Andrews was saying this about Jabril was in the press conference room waiting for his time to go up to the podium. So he's sitting there, laughing at David as he's saying that. But I would say Jabril is really making a name for himself in New England. I think that he was kind of underrated. He wasn't a name that Patriots fans were really, looking for to be a defensive star. But I think Jabril has really, carved out a role for himself on this team, and he's making a name for himself. And Belichick, his teammates, a lot of people are, finally recognizing that.
Yeah, Jabril Peppers, we saw him healthy this summer, finally feels at home, 100% a leader on this defense, finding his footing. Jabril with the interception, Mike Gesicki, the game-winning touchdown jersey. We back up. Big day for the Jersey boys. Now, before the game, this was the big thing. There was a report by NFL Network, Bill Belichick got a lucrative multi-year extension in the offseason. Now, what did you think of this report, the timing of it, and also what it means for the Patriots' future?
The timing of it is very interesting because I know, Bill was even asked about this reported extension after the game in his post-game press conference. He said, I never talk about my extensions. I don't talk about anything contract related ever. And we know that about Bill. But I do think the timing is interesting because why was there nothing? There was crickets about that over the summer. I think this comes out now as there's been a lot of talk about whether Bill Belichick has job security or not. So I think this is finally coming out, maybe from Bill's team. I don't know who leaked that, but it's like, it's showing that he is wanted in New England. Like, let's shut the narrative off. And I think this win the Patriots had, also worked out in Belichick's favor as well.
I think it came out, it was definitely Bill Belichick or his team that leaked it because you're 1-5. You're going into a stretch where you're going to play the Bills at home and then at Miami. That easily become 1-7. For him, he's like, hey, public perception, get off my back. Robert Kraft gave me a lucrative extension this offseason. I'm not going anywhere. Stop to talk about firing me mid-season, maybe after the season. So I think it was definitely a play by Belichick. Even the way it was reported, to quote Ian Rappaport, he said, job security has somehow been a topic in New England. They're a bad team. They're one of the worst teams in the NFL. They're the second worst team in the AFC. So I think it was a big play by Bill Belichick to try and get the public off his back, and then also maybe within the locker room get a buy-in. Guys, I'm not going anywhere. But also to say, we're not selling. Kendrick Bourne, you're not going anywhere. Jabril Peppers, Kyle Duggar, you're not going anywhere. But you have to go out and extend those guys. You have to go out and win. And I think if Bill wants to stay, you have to stop being the GM. You have to let go of that. You also just have to be better at your job because it's not a well-coached team, not a well-staffed team, given a few, Gerard Mayo, Bill Belichick, a few other guys.
Absolutely, and the NFL trade deadline is a little over a week away. I think it's Halloween this year, October 31st. So we'll see if the Patriots make any moves, but as we talked about, I mean, it's one of those things where Kendrick Bourne was even asked about if he feels like guys on this team are playing for their jobs right now, playing for their spot in New England before the trade deadline, and he's like, it's something that we all think about, but I don't think anybody's necessarily worried about it right now.
Maybe they're worried, but they can't let it get into doing their job. They certainly blocked it out on Sunday, and that led to them beating the Bills, pulling off the upset. So we spoke about it, what the Patriots are now. They're 2-5. There are 4 teams in the NFL that are 2-5. The Patriots, the Broncos, the Giants, and the Bears. All 4 bad teams. Do you think any of those 4 have a realistic shot at making the playoffs?
Well, if the Patriots can keep playing the way that they just played against the Bills, you have to think, okay, maybe they can get the ball rolling. It really took a while for them to get the fire started, 7 weeks into the season here. But if they can keep playing the way that they did, I think that they have a fair shot. I mean, look, their schedule coming up is tough.
Yeah, Commanders, Colts in Germany. Before that, they get the Dolphins. But you think of, they also have the Chargers, the Giants on their schedule. To see the Jets again, good defense. To see the Bills, maybe they have the recipe to beat the Bills. I also think the Bills aren't that good of a team.
Chiefs.
Yeah, and Chiefs as well. I just think, when you think Broncos, no, really bad roster, really bad defense. They want to tank. The Giants, worst offensive line in the NFL. The Bears, they want to tank too. They want 2 of those top 3 picks. The Patriots, I'd give the best shot. You could get them 13-1 to make the playoffs right now. But I look at the outlook of the AFC. Think about the 4 top seeds or what it could be. There's the Dolphins, Ravens, Chiefs, Jaguars. So they'll lock up the 4-1 seeds, likely to win the division. Then you have the Bills, Browns, Bengals, even the Jets and Colts. Those are teams I put in front of the Patriots. The Pats, at best, I still think they're a 7-10 team. And that's just the reality of it. I will say it. This team fooled me against the Cowboys. I said, you won't fool me against the Saints. They fooled me against the Bills. But I think for them, they have such a small margin of error. I don't see them piecing this together long-term, playing clean football, mistake-free football, the offensive line holding up. One injury on that O-line, they're back to square zero, ground zero for them. So as hopeful as Patriots fans want to be, and I know that's what the expectation is here in New England, and what Robert Kraft wants in New England, I don't see it happening with any of those 4 teams. I don't see it happening with the Patriots. It's a good team. It's a bad team. At best, they can be decent.
And we'll see if they can stay healthy. Like we said last week, there were 20 players on the injury report after Thursday and Wednesday's practice. Going into the game, there were a bunch of players who were questionable. I think the team largely was unscathed after this Bills game, but we'll see the injury report after they practice this week.
Yeah, my buddy Joe, very optimistic Patriots fan. I saw him yesterday. First thing he says, can they make the playoffs? I was like, I don't know, dude. Yes, they can. He'll hate to see this, Joe. They're not going to make it, bro. I love you.
I like the optimism, though.
Yeah, hey, still loyal. Get a new head coach in there, maybe a quarterback. All right, that concludes NFL Tea Time. Make sure to tune in. NESN.com tonight at 7 p.m. We have NESN Bets kickoff. Travis Thomas and Sammy P will hold it down. They have all the bets ahead of tonight's Monday night matchup, the Niners and the Vikings. But as always, NESN 360, NESN YouTube, NESN.com. Keep it locked in there. You'll see Meredith Gorman and myself and the rest of the team with the full coverage. This is week 7 of Tea Time. We'll see you for week 8.